OSAMU DAZAI wrote one of the most psychological, thrilling horror suspense stories of all time in his novel No Longer Human. So, what would happen if you took that novel and had it adapted by the modern horror master, Junji Ito? Well, you'd have this beautiful tome of a book, and you're going to want to take a look at this. Watch the video to the end. Now, first off, unfortunately, I have to be a little bit clever with this video because I've heard Junji Ito showing off interiors of his books can cause issues with copyright issues on YouTube and those things, which is terrifying for me, even in a month of October. But I do want to talk about this book, and I'll show off some interiors on the screen while I'm talking, but this is No Longer Human. This is adapted from OSAMU Dazai's very prolific and famous novel that he wrote in Japan that was released. And then tragically, a month later, OSAMU Dazai committed suicide a month after the book was released, which is a lot of the content within here. You can kind of see it leading to those things. It's even said on the French flap or the dust jacket's flap that it's supposedly a autobiography, which I think there probably is some autobio aspects to OSAMU Dazai's story in here. I can't imagine them all being true, but maybe some like exaggerated forms of the story to showcase what he was feeling at the moment. And I should provide a trigger warning as well if you deal with any sort of mental health issues or self-harm or those kinds of things, or addiction of any kind. There is a lot of that subject matter within this story, so beware. Make sure you're reading this when you're in a good mental state. But this, to me, is one of my favorite horror comics. I've ever read it already. I just read it for the first time this month, and it's definitely my favorite Junji Ito story. It is absolutely just the way he adapts all of the horrors and trauma that OSAMU Dazai wrote about in No Longer Human, and the madness that he was constantly going through, his life story, or the character's life story within the book, is absolutely brilliant. It's kind of a more grounded and to earth version of Junji Ito, who's known for, he's the modern master of comics, I like to refer to him as, but he's mostly known for like kind of monstrous things or body horror or those sorts of things. And some of that is present in here, but it is still a little bit more grounded and realistic. But the main character in the story starts off as it's his entire life story throughout the whole thing. And it starts off when he's a kid. He's kind of a class clown and likes to get a rise out of people through humor. That's the only way he's known to be able to express himself. And it's very important to him, to the point where he does like these pratfalls, even like a Chevy Chase pratfall from like SNL. And he does these pratfalls and these pranks and kind of these self-deprecating pranks. And everyone thinks it's a great, hilarious thing until this one student walks up to him and says, "I know you did that on purpose." And the main character then is stunned and feels like he's been found out as a fake and a phony. And that sends him to this tailspin that goes throughout the rest of his life that will then haunt him going forward. There's people that are close to him that are constantly dying or facing horrific ends to their lives as he goes through. And then those people that were close to him that have passed on, maybe due to his fault or maybe due to someone else's, but he still feels like the guilt and the weight of that. And they go on to haunt him throughout the rest of the story as well. So by the end of the story, he has a dozen or so people haunting him from his past that he just can't get away from. Even when he grows out of the stage of wanting to be the class clown, and he's trying to just be a normal human being, a normal working adult, those traumas and stuff still haunt him going forward. And I think it's a great metaphor for anybody that deals with horrific trauma of their childhood that is constantly haunting them going forward. So there's a lot of horrific things that happen throughout the story. It's definitely mature content. I would not recommend this for a kid or adult, or a kid or a teenager at all. Definitely mature content for adults. But I feel like all the horrific things happening are just a metaphor for the trauma that he's going through in his life. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful story. I can't recommend it enough. And like I said, Junji Ito is the modern master of horror, and he does a great job at adapting this. So yes, check this out. Let me know down below what your favorite Junji Ito stories are. I've not read all of his comics, but this is just the favorite that I've read so far. So I want to keep talking about that. Let me know also other horror recommendations that are not Junji Ito. Sometimes I feel like as a Western audience, we get kind of hung up in Junji Ito as being like the pinnacle and the only horror manga that's worthy of reading. I know there's plenty more out there. I've shown them off on my channel this month, which brings me to my next point, is that you want to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell notification icon. This month, every day of October, I'm releasing at least one video showcasing a different horror comic. And you don't want to miss any of those. If you missed any of the other ones that I've already released this month, I have a playlist on my channel. If you just go to the playlist tab and look up Halloween Horrors 2024, you can look at all the videos I've released so far, and stay tuned and subscribe so you can watch all the ones that come after. But yes, comment down below with your thoughts on this. Give the video a thumbs up and keep talking comics.